although one will need to learn, one will need to learn how to use data and interpret results. Statistical tools can make this process as simple and straightforward as possible. Then what are statistical tools? They are tools that are used in scientific study to increase efficiency and accuracy as a result of the slow but steady improvement of technology. Sorry, I'm trying to move to the next slide. Can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Yes, before we can select statistical tools to use for research or for research purpose, we need what will determine which tool will be the ideal. So one of the methods is by selecting what type of statistical analysis we are trying to perform on the data set. Statistical analysis is the process of analyzing data into patterns or trends that help researchers and to anticipate situations and make appropriate research conclusions based on the type of data. Then we have 7 categories. The first is the descriptive analysis. What is descriptive analysis? Descriptive analysis is just the organization and summary of enormous data into tables or graphs to make it as descriptive as possible. The descriptive analysis includes tabulation, measure of central tendency, that's your mean median mode, variance, etc., skewness, and so on and so forth. The second type is the predictive analysis. Predictive analysis helps you to predict future events, like in case of machine learning and all these applications in banking and finance, weather, etc. I'll still explain further when I reach the next section. Inferential analysis. This one, the data obtained from a small sample set can be extrapolated to an entire population. Like, let's say a case study is when you have a sample size of 100. You want to use the thinking of 100 students to determine the whole school. Let's say you have a case study of 100 LAUTECH students now. You can use their responses to predict the whole response of the whole school. That's what inferential analysis is just about. The fourth one is prescriptive analysis. This one evaluates data on it tells you what to be done next. Prescriptive is like when a company gives you data to read insight. From that insight, then they can be able to make adjustment on maybe there's something wrong somewhere. They can be able to prescribe a solution for it. EDA, exploratory data analysis. Before using any statistical method, EDA is the most typical step that is required. It focuses entirely on examining the data. When you have the data, you have to examine the data and the pattern to select which of the 7 is the best to use. EDA is used to examine missing data from acquired data to find undiscovered relationship within data, gain maximum insight as possible. The 6th is the causal analysis. This understanding and identifying the cause of why things appear to be so in a specific way. When you see data, you've analyzed it, then you don't want to know the causal analysis. It is also likened to the 4th one. I think the 4th one we'll still explain further in the front. The last one is mechanistic analysis. This type of is not very common. The process of big data analytics, biology science employ mechanistic analysis. While removing external influence, it makes advantage of the idea that individual data in one variable leads to change in the other variable, etc. So here now, there are vast statistical tools available in the field of research. These tools can get the job done in similar, some of them can do the same thing, serve the same function, while some serve different functions. Some of them are also free, while some are not free. The ones that are not free, if you are in an institution where they subscribe to it, you can have access to some of them. Let's go. So these are the top 12 from 2021 to date. These are like the most common use in research, statistical tools that have been used in research. The first one is SPSS. I'm very sure some of you guys are familiar with SPSS. It's just an acronym for statistical package for social science. So what it does is that, okay, I will explain what it does in front. So out of this, I'll just briefly explain about 3 of them that I know that people use very well. The second one is R. R is if you're in data science, like one of the top tools they use in data science these days. It's a very good tool. It's also a programming language. The third one is Stata. Stata is also, it works similar to SPSS, but some prefer Stata over SPSS and vice versa. The fourth one is MATLAB. MATLAB is what I use most of the time, and is what, if you're in engineering, I would recommend you stick to MATLAB. If you want to choose any software to start with, is that you stick to MATLAB or you start with Python, either of the two. JMP. JMP is a software they use in those guys in the field of psychology, health, etc. They also use, it's also similar to other statistical tools. Then we have Minitab. Minitab is more like a mini programming language combined with something like Design Expert. If you're familiar with Design Experts, they use it to like generate experiments. Like you can use it to generate experiments. Like if you have a preliminary result of experiments, instead of running 100 experiments, you can use Design Expert or Minitab to design your experiment before you go into the lab to know. Before you start running 100 experiments, it can tell you that all you need to run is just 20 experiments. Some of them might be duplicates. The 7th one is GraphPath Prism. It's also a good tool. I've not really used it before, but from research, is one of the top tools that have been used over the years. SAS is also similar to SPSS as well. They use it in social science. Then Excel, like Excel should be the first thing on the list. If there's any software I would recommend you to start with, you start with Excel, because most of these other programs, they work with Excel. You get your data in the text format or Excel format. So it's like a soft tool as well. Statistical as well, Python and Tableau. Tableau is just for, they use it for, it's just like Power BI. It's for data reports in all these data scientists and all these machine learning experts, they use Tableau as well. So let's now go to popularity in research. So when we saw the internet for the top tools that have been used by researchers from 1995 to 2016, R was topping the list. R has been used over the years. Same thing with SAS. SAS is also a good tool, but if you look at the trend of this map, you see the trend of R is going up. It's been going up from 1995 to 2016. It's still, people continue to use it because of his, they improve on their products. SAS is also a good tool as well, but the use has been declining in recent years. If you see, there's Stata, Prism, that's Graph Prism, Statistical, Minitab, Sister, JMP. If you look at the graph on the right side, these are top statistical research from 2018. Now let's in 2018 to be specific. So here now, this is Google Scholar. This is Google Scholar data. So they analyze the tools. Some researchers they specify the tools they use to carry out their research. It's always good to specify it in your methodology that this is a tool you carry out research with, so that people will know how proficient is that tool or why they need to use that tool as well. So if you look at 2018, over 80,000 people used SPSS for their research. How SAS, Stata, graph reading, MATLAB, Python, you can see, and it goes down like that. So as time goes on, people will always come up with something better. So it depends on what you want to use. First, determine the statistical analysis you want to do, then you select your tools. So here now, the first I have here is Excel. These graphs are the typical graphs you can generate with your Excel. Like when you want to plot the pie chart, you don't need to even go and check a tool to use. The first thing to come to mind is Excel. Excel is what almost everybody uses. You get now. It can generate your pie charts, your bar charts, whether 3D or normal bar charts, your column charts as a third graph. Then you have stat column chart as well. Then if you want to have a clustered bar chart like the image below, this image below, that one you can have something like that in Excel. Excel can also draw your normal chart for you, your normal straight line graph, X, Y. Then you can have a combination. Excel, you can have Y plots. If you look at the last graph, it's Y plots. So I hope I'm not too fast for this session. This session is just telling you, it's not like an explanatory section, it's just telling you, it's just showing you some of the beauties of some of these softwares that we've seen, the top softwares. Do you get what I'm saying now? So if you look at the last graph, it's a combination graph. When you have two y-axes, you have one on the left and one on the right. Excel can generate this. Some programming language can also generate this for you as well. It shows you can compare different parameters on the same graph instead of separating them. Do you get now? And the reason why we have combination graph like this at times is not, it's not really because of the beauty of it. At times, you want to have a graph and you have too many graphs when you want to publish your manuscript, or when you want to publish your journal article, or when you want to submit your conference article. So you can look for a creative way to have some of these graph in a figure. You can also group it together like the way I've done now. All these 7 figures now, they are grouped together. I can present this as one figure if they are all dealing with the same topic. I can present this 7 graph in one figure. All I need to do is just label it A, B, C, D. Do you get now? You can have it that way as well. So let's see the other tool. This tool is a SPSS. I just screenshot some of the works I have on SPSS. The beauty of SPSS, SAS, and Stata is that, I don't know of SAS and Stata, but I know SPSS, when you have a questionnaire data, if you look at the data I have here, is a questionnaire data. And one of the first questions you ask someone in the questionnaire is that, what country do you belong to? What type? Like this questionnaire on the screen is just showing you different house type, different dwelling size of particular region, area. So there are different nationalities in that area, so they need to take care of all those data. So what SPSS will do is that it can't interpret, you can't analyze data in Word format. What I'm trying to say is that if you look at the left-hand side of this graph now, we have Lesotho. I find it, some software, you find it hard to analyze data in form of Lesotho RAC. So at times you can convert it to coded format. So the beauty of SPSS is that you can convert, you can interpret, or you can code, you can represent that Lesotho by 1. You can use number to select it. You get now, you represent it by 1. It's easier to analyze in numerical data than a categorical, or you call it, how you call it, or character data. You get it now. So the beauty of SPSS is that you can transcode it. When you transcode it, then you now analyze it. So if you look at the left-hand side and right-hand side, it's the same data. One is in numerical format, one is in the original SPSS format. Do you get now? So if you see the data view and variable views, those of you have used SPSS, you know what I'm talking about. In your variable view, you can change your whatever, you can code your what you have on your data like that. This is not a practical class I will have shown you. So the last one is just a screen plot. The last plot there. One of the advantages is that when you are doing, let me say, machine learning, or when you are trying to reduce your data, you reduce your data based on so many conditions. One of them is PCE. We use it for data reduction or size reduction. So you can have all this data now in SPSS in your questionnaire, but only few of them are very relevant to the data. So what all this size reduction will do is that it will select the best variable for you to use in your analysis. This variable will be the one that will determine the main content. Like, let's say when we run this in an SPSS now, we now use PCA now. What this one will do is that of having nationality, might say nationality is not really relevant to this data. It can tell you that the age of the people that fill the questionnaire is more relevant than their employment status. I'm just using this as a case study. So it's going to drop some of those variables. You have a chart. That chart is showing that anything above 1 are relevant. Anything below 1 is irrelevant. That's just a bit of SPSS. It can do so many other things as well. So if you look at the last one, out of those 12, I'm only trying to speak on these 3. These 3, the third one here is MATLAB. I'm not selecting MATLAB because it's what I use most. I'm selecting it because when I did research, I discovered that each time MATLAB always comes up in the top 10 that have been used in research. So different data can be generated in MATLAB. What you have in Excel, you can use MATLAB generated. When you have MATLAB, you can use Excel as well. But not everything Excel can generate. Excel cannot do ANN for you, like what you have below. Excel cannot do Simulink for you. If your work is related to Simulink, then you have to choose a tool like this. Do you get now? Simulink also does some statistical stuff as well. Do you get? So if you look as well, you can group data. If you see the third image now, that contour, surface, they are grouped together. MATLAB can group that one for you as well. Then you can also have YY plots on the left-hand side. You see single gas composition, nitrogen composition, you can have that as well on MATLAB. It can do so many other stuff as well. So let's move forward. So now, someone will ask that, out of the top 10 I selected there, what is the ease of use of this software? Like if I want to learn this software, updating my feed, I want to go and learn them. So this is a table showing you the ease of use, their graphic content, etc. If you want to manipulate data, the ones that are good. So if you look at the first one, we have SPSS, menus and syntax. Menus and syntax means you have select, like if you have a drop button, like if you see this, what do you call it? This Zoom we are having now, you can see participants. So it's telling you that they have drop button that you can select menu. Like if I want to find the, if I want to use SPSS for neural network, there's a neural network inbuilt there. If I want to write the syntax as well for neural network, there's a provision there for you. That's what it means. Then the learning curve is just the rate. I'll discuss that on the next slide. It's just the rate at which you learn it. It's a gradual process. Once you practice over time, you're going to learn it. Then data manipulation, for manipulating data, like what I've explained before, is moderately. Statistical analysis, moderate scope, low versatility. Is not really as versatile as other softwares. Then graphics is also okay. Then you have custom table, ANOVA analysis, multivariate, etc. Those are the inbuilt functions you can also do. JMP as well. JMP is John McIntosh, wherever. It's for medical students. If you see, it's also as similar to what we have. It has better graphics than SPSS as well. Then you can also use it to design experiments, quality control, fitting models, etc. And the third one there is Starter. It has many syntax as well, similar to SPSS. Learning curve is moderate. Then you have strong data manipulation is better than SPSS. You can do also other advanced tools. If you look at SAS, when they say something is steep, I will explain in the next. Steep means it's not as easy as you see everybody using it. So what I arrange here is that the order is just the order of learning them. The ease of learning them increases on the table. Like the earlier ones are easier to learn. You get it now. Like it can take you a short time to learn them. They have very good graphics as well. So if you look at the last one, let me just move to the last one because of time. We have MATLAB. MATLAB, the syntax is also similar to what you have in Python, but the advantage of MATLAB is that you have all your library. If you have the full subscribed version of MATLAB, even if you have the cracked version, you have all the libraries inbuilt. You don't need to be downloading libraries the way you do in Python. You have all the libraries there. Then if you buy the subscribed version, you may need to be buying each toolbox annual basis. Then you can use it for simulation, multidimensional data, machine learning, deep learning, image processing, etc. It has a lot of functions. It's very nice. If you're in engineering, it's one of the best tools for you. So let's move to the next slide. Let's see the learning rates. If you look at this curve now, you show you the learning rate of the 6 of them. When they say something is steep, you see that curve here now. When you first start, everything is easy. But when you get to a point, you feel like giving up. Then you see now, can you see now? It's telling you that the more as you go up, you get tired along the way. So if you push yourself, you're going to, you see the learning and experience. That's telling you that your experience is based on your learning. You have to continue learning it over time. You get it now to master it. So areas of application, all those tools or all those toolbox you've seen is almost every area. Let me not just put area of application here. Like everybody needs it at one point or another. Even those in humanity or social science, you definitely need it. Once you are doing the questionnaire, you need a tool to analyze your data. Do you get what I'm saying? Now you have to plot bar chart. You can't be using hand to plot bar chart or pie chart. So you have to use a tool. So almost every area is every area. So how do we get there? The first thing is training institution. If you have tradition like all these places you call what do you call it? Coursera, Udemy, all those places, you can learn there. You can learn through those places there. Other training institution is also my office as well. I'm not asking you to come to my office to learn. I'm saying that you can have physical or virtual. Those ones are virtual, like the online training. Physically, you can go to, maybe you have your school. There's a place they do computer training there. You can also subscribe there. The second one is a current institution. Let's say like the way I'm in University of Johannesburg now. If they make provision for the training, some schools make provision for training when you get there. Like you want to use the software, they can make provision for you, or they pay for you on your behalf to maybe consider all those sites to go and learn it. The third one is the software sites. Then most of them are paid. Well, there are some of them that are actually not paid. The introduction, but the ones you need might be, you have to pay for it, some of them. Then we go to YouTube, social media, you can see some free classes as well on YouTube. Do you get it now? The third one, the fifth one is via knowledge-based sites, Stack Overflow, GitHub, Quora. Let's say you started learning. So what you are looking for is not on YouTube. You go to search, you can't find it. There might be some people that might answer it on. I'm very sure some of you know what they call Quora. If you're a programmer, you're familiar with GitHub and Stack Overflow. Quora is also a knowledge-based site. Some programmers also upload some of their files there. Some data scientists as well. They do the same thing. The sixth one is via your senior colleague or mentor. You can learn through mentor as well. Then the seventh is via your research group members. You can have research group members that are very versatile with some of these tools. They know how to use it. If they have time, they can assist you, maybe plot 1 or 2 graphs like that. The number 8 is self-development. Let's say you've already learned how to use some of these softwares before, then you want to use a new one. You can just get the ebook. You can buy it or just get it online. Then another alternative is via teaching. Teaching means you already know it, but you need to, like, you know what, if you check the learning curve, you see, let's say you've learned up to the middle, you forget. Let me tell you, you forget. It's just like programming now. Let's say you start learning programming after a month, you now left it for like 6 months after, you might forget. But when you teach people, you'll remember, okay, this is what I learned when I was doing it. You get now. So through teaching and mentoring others, if you have prerequisite knowledge of the tool, is also good. So we're adding up here now. So the summary of the whole thing is that before you use any tool, there are key factors. One of the key factors is know the technique. And one of the techniques, there are the 7 techniques I've already explained. Are you trying to use descriptive? Are you trying to describe the data? Are you trying to extrapolate the data? Are you trying to like find intuition from a data set? Or you want to do all these main media modeling from a data set? So you can know which of the tools. And if you are familiar with one of these tools, you can easily know, okay, let me use Excel for this. It's fine. The popularity of the tool as well. At times, people don't want to use Excel. People want to be creative. They can just say, okay, since I'm already using Excel, I'm already tired of Excel. Let me go and use another software that can also do the same purpose. You can also use it based on the popularity, like the way they use Python these days. Python is easy to use. There's no lie about that. It's very easy to use. So if you want to start programming, I recommend you go for Python. They get now. But if you want to do research, I advise you to go for the ones they use in your field. Then the last one is the ease of use as well. Ease of use also matters. Let's say you have MATLAB, you have Python, you have R, you have this, and you've tested all of them. Instead of you learning all of them, you can just say, okay, I've done a week training all of them. I see that, okay, R is easy for me. Just go with your R. And if you that R cannot do something, others can use it, then you now switch to the other ones. These are the key factors that are used in selecting the statistical tools you want to use in your research. So these tools could be for any kind of statistical analysis and research. And some of them can actually serve the same purpose. You get now, when you see software serving the same purpose, there's really no point. Just learn the basic of the other one and stick to the one you already know how to use. So learning application of these tools improves with time. So these are the references, and that is all we have. That is the end of the slide.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibrahim. Jazakallah khairan for bringing to us knowledge on different statistical tools and how it can be useful to us as researcher. May Allah reward you abundantly for this. And just to give a brief summary for those that joined late, Ibrahim informed us that there are several statistical tools available online, either the free version or the paid version. So depending on the type of research you are doing, or the discipline you are doing, or the discipline you are, you can decide to pick some of the statistical tools and learn. Then from Google Scholar research, it showed us the most popular statistical tools that have been used, for example, SPSS, SAS, GMP, Excel, MATLAB. Those ones are like part of the first 10 statistical tools that are being used. He also showed us the learning curve of some of those tools. There are some that are easy. There are some that you have to continuously practice every time in order to be experienced or be familiar with them. And then there are different ways by which you can learn some of the softwares, either online, through Coursera, Udemy, or physical. There are a lot of people that do physical training also. And then some universities also conduct trainings for software. Some departments, based on the softwares they use mostly for their research or faculty, they also conduct trainings for them. Then if you also have a mentor you can speak with to teach you, while there are some people that maybe, so I don't know, maybe there are some investors that say, okay, if you need to use this software, there are people they employ to assist students with them. I don't know, but I think that one is also available. So depending on where you find yourself, I think the best thing, especially if you are, if you have the intention to be an academic researcher, or you want your career to be in line with that, it's best for you to know and understand the statistical tool that your research area is familiar with. It's going to be an added skills, and it will also make your work easier for you as an individual. Also, he also mentioned like there are some trainings that are available that you can register for. And before I end this, I just want to also mention that the Muslims in Research and Academics is also planning on having some software training that are useful for academic researcher, mostly Excel. We are starting with Excel first, then maybe MATLAB and SPS, because I know that a lot of especially social science or arts students, they work with SPSS and Excel. Then MATLAB majorly for science students. Then others depending on what exactly you need to use it for. So we are going to have some trainings on that in order to improve our knowledge. We'll start with basic training, then if we need to go into advanced training as time goes on, we would also move into that so that we can be very, very familiar, not just familiar, be experienced with some of these statistical tools. And also, I can't remember if Ibrahim mentioned that some of these softwares are updated regularly with new information. So as you are working with the software, as you're learning, you need to continuously learn the new tools that are available on those softwares and use it to also improve your research work, because that's the reason why those softwares are being updated regularly, in order to make our data analysis more improved and our research work better. So if you are not in the Muslims, because the update on the training would be posted in the Muslims in Research group, the WhatsApp group. So if you are not there, you can send your contact so that we can add you to the group. You can send your WhatsApp contact and you'll be added to the group, inshallah. And then the update on the training would be posted there for those who are interested. And after that, if you have any question, please, you can signify or you type it in the chat box so that the guest speaker can respond to the questions. So is there any question on this? I've mentioned that if you want to join the group, you can send your WhatsApp number and you'd be, inshallah, be added to the group. Is there any question on for the guest speaker? Okay, would you someone raised up a hand? And you can unmute yourself if you have question to ask, so we can you can ask your question directly. That's fine. Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing any question from, no hands raised. So okay, I think there's no question. So just to mention again, this is a monthly discussion thing that takes place every last Sunday of the month, where we discuss various topics that are useful for our academic research and also our academic career, because a lot of us immediately we either finish our master's or finish our PhD, we are looking for, okay, how am I going to kickstart my career? What are the things I need to do? How do I get the necessary connections or the collaborations with other people? And what do I need to do to improve my research work, to improve my journal article? How do I recognize predatory journal? How do I make sure my research, my article gets accepted? So those are example of the topics that we discuss in Muslims in Research and Academic. And if you and sometimes as Muslims, there are some of these topics are also linked to our faiths and stuff. How do we relate with other people in environment where we sometimes might feel inferior? Like, how do we go about it? So those are like some of the topics. And next month, inshallah, last Sunday, we would also have another topic that would be very useful to everyone, inshallah. So is it possible for Mira to organize practical? Yes, we can organize practical training SPSS. Larry, there's a question here. Brian, someone said, is eViews is left out on the list? Is it that it is an outdated app? I don't know. I've heard of eViews before, but I don't know about it. So, Brian.
Yeah. Are you guys there?
Yes, we can now.
Yeah, I only work with, if you see, I didn't leave it out. I only check on the recent, if you see, I only selected the top ones. If you see the charts of the 2018, even the 2022, 2023, I selected the top 10. So the consistent top 10 were the ones I actually selected. I've heard of EView as well. You get now, if it's something that can also do the purpose of SPSL, you'll stick to it. They are just telling you that 20,000 people use this. Actually, people that are using EV might not want to be 8,000. That's why it's not the, you get what I'm saying now. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the top 2s, but it didn't make the top 10. Sorry about that.
Okay. In essence, I think it means that the use of eViews is declining. So what if you are doing a research work that you are using something like eViews, you probably need to look out for a more advanced or updated research tool that is doing the same thing. And you might be surprised to find out that the new software you're using actually makes your work easier than eView, because for whatever reason, for eViews not to be among the top statistical tool as at 2018, it shows that there's a better research and statistical tool that you can use for your work, probably SPSS. Someone said, can SPSS be used to generate plots or graph?
Yes, it can be used to generate plots and graph. If you check this table, can you see this table now? Can you guys still see my slide? So if you see the table now, it's telling you that the graphic is good. At times, if you want a solid graphics, you can use something that is better. Even Excel has a better graphics than SPSS. Sorry about that, those that use SPSS. Excel has better graphics than SPSS. SPSS is good, but in terms of graphics, it's not that solid.
Okay. All right. So SPSS is good, but if you want your graph to be very beautiful and a graphic graph, something that looks so nice, Excel is probably better. But based on the trend that was shown, it shows that SPSS can still also be used, or you can combine it with Excel also. And those people that use combination of SPSS and Excel. All right, thank you very much for answering the question. Is there any other question before we end this session? Okay, since there's no question.
There's a question I saw there.
Okay, Power BI is not included in the top list. Is Tableau preferred to Power BI? Okay.
That question is a very nice question. There has been debate on the two software. They serve the same purpose. You get what I'm saying now? If you look at these statistics I have here, Power BI, Microsoft Power BI is not used in research. It's used in data science, it's used in data manipulation, all those stuff. Rarely used in research. They use it to generate report. They use it more in the business side of industry. Let me just say industry. You get now. So I can find Tableau in some of the recent use. I think Tableau came before Power BI. So some of them stated Tableau there. That's why Tableau was there, the top 10. It's not that I actually preferred it. Both of them serve the same purpose and they both have good graphics.
Okay. All right. Any other question again? Okay. In the absence of any question, we would end today's discussion. And once again, I would like to say big Jazakallah Khairan to Ibrahim for joining us and for discussing this very important topic for us this month. And I would also like to thank everyone for joining today, and hopefully we'll see you during next month's discussion also, inshallah. And with that, we end today's discussion. Thank you, Assalamu alaikum.
So